Jake Landreth from Navarre. Well, from Holly. I live in Navarre now. Ric Landreth was born on April 1st, 1957 to Tom Landreth and Peggy Broxson at Eglin Air Force Base Hospital. And he was raised in Holly, Florida. Like most Holly boys, myself included, he grew up fishing on the East Bay and at the Yellow River. He swam out at Boiling Creek, now on Eglin, and he deer hunted the West Range. And more or less generally did what we all did growing up here. Enjoyed what back then was a very wild Santa Rosa County. After graduating from Milton High School, he enlisted in the United States Army, where he went on to serve for the next 30 plus years. And instead of hunting deer, he would go on to hunt for Manuel Noriega in Panama in the 1980s, for warlords in Somalia in the 1990s, and for Osama bin Laden in the early 2000s, where, incidentally, he would save one idiot 19-year-old private nephew from an Al-Qaeda ambush in the Shahikot Valley. Rick wasn't an ordinary soldier. He was one of the elite. A member of the unit, JSOC, or for us 80s kids, what Chuck Norris called, and what you just talked about, Delta Force. He was on the ground when our entire nation watched on TV when his dear friend Gary Gordon was killed, risking his life for his fellow soldiers in the incident we all know as Black Hawk Down. He also rode with the horse soldiers into Mazar-e-Sharif, Afghanistan. And he answered the call to 100 other missions that never will make it to the movies. He was also their sergeant major. He was the old man, the senior enlisted man in the unit. He led, trained, and mentored multiple generations of the bravest, brightest, and most dedicated young officers and enlisted men in the United States Army. During the course of that career, as you heard, he was awarded a couple of Bronze Stars, one of which became a Silver Star, and multiple other awards and honors. But he also laid to rest many of his brothers in arms, the young men he had trained and served and bled with. Last year, in October, we buried him in Bobby Lee's front yard at Arlington, amongst the many other Americans who gave everything to our country. When our cousin Tim Talbert proposed doing something to honor Rick this past year, we thought the old Holly ballpark was kind of the place. Those of you guys that know Holly, there's not a whole lot of big public spaces in there. But we learned about the 1980 effort to dedicate the park to Cousin Lenny, who had passed before I was born. And we thought the best way to approach this was to honor both of them. Uncle James helped to raise Rick. Rick and my uncles Tim and Mike, they ran all over out there with the Talbert boys, and I did too, and we're all family. And so it made perfect sense to us to say, you know what, we've got this space in Holly. I played baseball there in 9th grade with Navarre High School because we didn't have a ball field to play at. So why not make this a place where the people of Holly could come together and to honor not just Rick, but the rest of the community. So, as you heard, we're asking you guys for something fairly simple. We're asking you guys to support us in honoring our community. You would not believe the number of people, and I'm sure the rest of the county has this too, the number of people who have served our nation that came from tiny little Holly. All of my great uncles, many of my cousins, distant relations, from names like Broxson, Talbert, Wells, Anderson, Harville. If you ask any family in Holly if they've served and honored this country, then you're going to get not only an answer, but one hell of a story. So I thank you guys for your time, and I really appreciate your support, and I hope that we can make this the beginning of something in Holly where we can continue to honor our ancestors and to protect our communities and to face the growth that we're all experiencing with some dignity and not to forget. Thank you for your time.
Well said, Jake. Thank you.